For the last Sunday in March, you found the Georgia gang. Topping our agenda this morning, Governor Perdue will sue the federal government over health care. And in the General Assembly, ethics legislation is moving ahead. And finally, in DeKalb County, is Vernon Jones a race man? He's certainly on trial for it. Some of the stories up for grabs on the Georgia gang.
From the Fox 5 studios, the Georgia gang starts now.
And good morning. We're glad you could be with us. All the action really centered this week on the state capitol. We'll be blunt up front. We are taping on what the General Assembly calls crossover day, so we don't know which bills will live to see next week. And next week's broadcast will have a better sense of all that. But there were major developments this week when the Attorney General of Georgia, Thurbert Baker, said he would not sue the federal government over the coming Obama health care plan. Jeff, Thurbert Baker was firm about it. It's the first time he's popped up in a while, but for a guy running for governor, he certainly has kept a low profile.
For a guy running for governor, he didn't have any other position to take. I mean, he cannot represent his client, the state of Georgia, and run for governor if he's going to be opposing this legislation. This, you know, when you think about this in the context of major federal legislation, there is a consistent pattern of intransigence and rebellion on the part of the state of Georgia. I know that there are a lot of states involved in suing who are not southern states, but
not
you look,
a lot, a few,
14
southern states.
That's 14 states.
14 states. But when you look back, you know, the Civil Rights Act and the acts of the 1960s, the Brown versus
nothing to do with
the Brown. No, wait a minute. No. I'm not accusing anybody of racism or racially motivated activity of any sort. But the fact of the matter is, Georgia has a long and proud history.
What?
So what? What do you mean, so what? No. I mean, wait a minute.
Being on the wrong side of history.
I'm being on the wrong side of history. Exactly
Why
right.
don't you stick to the topic of Obamacare, and there's an unconstitutional
Because there
provision
is
in
clearly
Obamacare.
a pattern here, Phil, that you obviously don't want to acknowledge, and that is the state of Georgia and its intransigence when it comes to federal legislation that affects the state. Now, we've done this before. We've been here before. We were here in 1954. We were here in 1964,
Are we done with the sermon?
1965.
Let me tell you, Jeff,
Yeah.
let me interrupt and state very clearly that you can take race out of this, because I will stand behind the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The federal government has no role in this.
I'll tell you,
it's not in the Constitution, and that's that.
I can take race out of this. I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about intransigence on the part of the federal, on the part of the state of Georgia.
So you're in favor of
major federal legislation comes
You're in
through.
favor of forcing insurance.
Well, enough.
On people, right?
Enough of that, because the governor
and define federal mandates, and this is federal law. It's federal law, and we're part of the United States of America.
Let's talk about what this bill does. It forces you to buy insurance. That's what the 14 attorney generals are talking about. That's what Dick is talking about with the 10th Amendment.
You've been forced to buy auto insurance for what, 25 years?
According to federal authority under the commercial trade laws, that they have the ability to set standards for how
That's a totally warped view of the U.S. Constitution.
That's the Commerce Clause. That's the Commerce Clause. Wait a minute.
The Social Security Act was a warped view of the U.S. Constitution. Brown versus Board of Education was a warped view of the U.S. Constitution. A lot of people thought that. A lot of people. Wait a minute. Now let's look at this.
I don't want to get off on race.
A lot of folks. I'm not talking about race. I'm not talking about
Governor
I'm talking about constitutional principle. And if you look at constitutional principle, you could say that invoking the Commerce Clause and the Civil Rights Act was unconstitutional and unconstitutional use of the Commerce Clause.
I think that,
and a lot of people made the argument at the time.
But here's the big
Talk about what we're talking about today.
We got to move
on. A legislation that is unconstitutional. That was Governor Perdue's point.
How many times have we heard that before?
Well, let's keep hearing it till we get it right.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And everything was unconstitutional. How about separate but equal? Is that unconstitutional?
We're not going there.
I mean, it's a matter of interpretation, is my point. And the point here is that the interpretation
Governor Perdue is right.
This is not a case.
This is a $1 billion or more unfunded mandate on the state of Georgia. He is right to sue because it's in our interest. Because this president, King Strut himself, has got his hand in our pocket. It's my new name. You like it? In every single aspect of our lives. Now let's go back to the General Assembly. So the governor's going to look for a pro bono attorney and join the sane thinkers among the 50 U.S. states in suing the government on this.
And I am on the other side with the insane people who think it is a stupid thing to do to sue on this case. So I just think that it's a waste of taxpayers' time and money and energy.
He's doing it pro bono.
And we need to, well, it's going to be spending somebody's time in the state government, and plus they're going to lose. That's what's
Now, in the same week that Congress passed the final aspect of the health care reform package, a huge free one-day clinic set up shop here in the metro area. More than 1,500 people showed up for the clinic, and many more had to be turned away. Fox 5's Mark Teichner has the story.
1121, 1121.
They came out by the hundreds, all of them looking for help from a doctor. Saturday's free health care clinic at College Park's Georgia International Convention Center served more than 1,500 uninsured.
I haven't been seen in 6 years.
Tiffany Collins drove all the way from Paulding County. She's a college student with a job but no insurance, which is why Collins was the first person in line.
I haven't been able to go see a doctor, and I just wanted to get a checkup and just make sure that I'm okay.
We were receiving 200 calls a minute.
So many people pre-registered that organizers could only see about 200 walk-ins before they started turning people away.
It's sad. It's very sad that average Americans have to come to a convention center to get quality health care.
Well, as just about everyone knows, Congress has just passed a new health care reform package, but much of that law won't go into effect until the year 2014, which means the need for clinics like this one won't go away anytime in the near future.
These people, the patients that are here, have at least 4 more years where they're going to need immediate care.
I've recently lost my job and insurance, and actually I have to see an orthopedist for a few things.
Organizers say it's important for uninsured like Anna Merrill to be referred to the network of free health care clinics located all over the state.
And I'm no longer able to afford the office visits.
I'm Mark Teichner, Fox 5 News.
The walk-ins who were turned away were given information about the Georgia Free Clinic Network, which provides health care for little or no cost. If you'd like to find out about a clinic in your area, you can log on to the group's website at www.gfcn.org or call them at 678-553-4939.